Hey there, pal, and welcome to my first ever Toon Time with Wheezy cartoon review. You know, cartoons are something that I've been passionate about all my life. And those of you who know me personally know that when I'm passionate about a thing, I never shut up about it. So, that's why I've decided to make this video, and hopefully more in the future. And what better way to kick it all off than by talking about one of my all time favorite cartoon series ever, Over the Garden Wall. Have you ever had a thing in your life that you feel was made for you? Like you just love it so much and it fits you so well? Like maybe a favorite book or a cozy sweater or a tasty food? For me, that thing is Over the Garden Wall. It perfectly captures the wonder of childhood. It's cute, it's funny, and sometimes downright scary.
It doesn't seem like you're ready to join us just yet.
Join you? Yeah, no, I'm just passing through.
Folks don't tend to pass through Pottsfield.
Oh, yeah?
I'm going to break it down into a few points, but first a fair warning. I won't reveal any spoilers, but this show is an absolute treasure to watch through for the first time. So if you haven't seen it yet, I recommend that you watch it first and then come back so you can fully enjoy it in all its glory. Now, let's get started. First off, I'm going to give a little background information on the show. The idea for Over the Garden Wall was first pitched to Cartoon Network in 2006 under the title Tome of the Unknown by creator Pat McHale. You may recognize his name from other shows like The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack and Adventure Time. McHale danced around the idea of doing a Halloween special or a mini-series rather than a regular running series to achieve a higher quality overall, and thus Tome of the Unknown became the 10-episode mini-series Over the Garden Wall. The show aired in November of 2014 and won an Emmy in 2015 for Outstanding Animated Program. Now for a little bit more about the story. The show follows two brothers, Wirt and Greg, as they wander through a mysterious wood. Along the way, they encounter Beatrice, the talking bluebird, who agrees to show them the way to Adelaide of the Pasture, the good woman of the woods, who can help them get home. All the while, the mysterious beast pursues the children in hopes of keeping them in his forest forever. Now, I know it doesn't sound like much, but in the world of the unknown, there's this eerie feeling about it, like you've heard this story before a long time ago when you were a kid, but you can't quite remember how it ends. I've heard it described as the first American fairy tale, and I definitely feel like that holds true. It pulls a lot of inspiration from childhood classics like The Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland. You know, the whole kids being lost in an unfamiliar, wacky place, just trying to get home sort of thing. Through the 10-episode long story arc, it almost feels like the boys are traveling through time, as the clothing of the people of the unknown ranges from Puritan dress to French Rococo style to the Roaring Twenties from episode to episode. 8 more ideas for episodes did have to be cut for time and censorship, but nothing feels empty or missing from the story. Die-hard fans can fill in any blanks with the official Over the Garden Wall comic books, which take place between episodes 3 and 4, but they are not necessary to fully enjoy all that there is to see within the show. Next, I'd like to talk about one of my favorite parts of the show, the artwork. Being a mini-series means there was more time to be spent on background art than you would normally see in a kid's cartoon. And art director Nick Cross did a fantastic job creating the world of the unknown. It feels like something straight out of a storybook. There's really nothing more I can say about it, so I'm just going to throw up some pictures here so you can see for yourself what I mean. It's just beautiful. I love the contrast between the characters and the world they live in. All the people are simple geometric shapes, and the unknown draws inspiration from 19th and 20th century Americana. Oh, I just love the tiny details as well, like the way it gets blurry around the edges of the screen to make it look old. The animation, of course, left nothing to be desired. I actually cried when I saw the Highwayman's dance for the first time. Yes, I know I'm a dork. It's the little things that make it so charming. And speaking of charming, the next point I want to talk about is the music. The soundtrack was produced by the Blasting Company and has this very old-timey feel, a lot of brass and string instruments. In the words of Elijah Wood, who voices Wirt, if this show were a record, it would be played on a phonograph. Again, the music draws inspiration from many classics. Potatoes and Molasses, for instance, was inspired by Shirley Temple's Animal Crackers in My Soup, and the Beast's theme is actually a twisted version of the Christmas carol O Holy Night. One of my personal favorites from the show, Wirt's theme, is an 80s rock anthem performed by Pat McHale himself. It's just so fantastic. I definitely recommend listening to the whole soundtrack, especially around Halloween time.
Dancing in a swirl of golden memories, the loveliest lies of all.
As I've said before, Elijah Wood voices Wirt, the older, more serious of the two brothers, while Colin Dean voices the innocent, frog-loving Gregory. This is a personal thing for me, but I really love it when cartoons cast actual child actors as child characters, so long as they are talented, which Colin Dean definitely is. Melanie Lynskey voices the salty Beatrice, with some other names that you might recognize, including Christopher Lloyd as the Woodsman, John Cleese as Quincy Endicott, and Tim Curry as Auntie Whispers. With a great cast all around, there's really nothing I would change about any of the voice acting of the show.
The characters are really relatable for me personally, as Wirt is very anxious and withdrawn, while Greg is silly and childish. I thought for sure when I was going into watching this show that I would absolutely hate Greg. I thought he would be the tag-along annoying kid brother who's just there for comedic relief. And he is, but it's impossible to hate him. He's just too adorable. Never does anything he do or say come off as stupid or just thrown in for a laugh.
In this next part, I just want to share a few little Easter eggs and ramblings of mine that I find endearing, but once again, if you want to save these until after you've watched the show, by all means, please do. Number 1. In episode 2, Hard Times at the Huskin-Bee, the boys are on the road to a town to ask for directions. They come across a sign for Pottsfield. The town got its name from the term Potter's Field, which is another name for a mass unmarked grave. Neat. Number 2. In episode 5, Mad Love, the brothers are forced to trick the crazed millionaire Quincy Endicott into thinking that they are his nephews, so that they may borrow 2 cents to take the ferry to Adelaide's pasture. In many cultures, 2 pennies, placed over the eyes of the dead, are believed to help the deceased pay the toll to cross over into the next life. Sound familiar? Number 3. The original name for the beast was to be Old Scratch, which is another name for the devil. In the Over the Garden Wall comic books, Wirt picks up a matchbox with the brand name, you guessed it, Old Scratch. With all these little nods to death, there's this nagging sense of danger in the back of my mind whenever I'm watching the show. You just get a little uneasy, but it feels safe and comfortable at the same time, if that makes sense. It's sort of like coming to terms with death or even welcoming it. If I had one complaint about the whole show, it's just that I'm sad it's over. I wish I could go back in time and watch it for the first time all over again. On the flip side, in a way, this is also my favorite thing about the whole show. The fact that it's 10 episodes long and that's all. No stupid spin-offs, no holiday specials. You get what you get, and what you get is nothing less than a masterpiece. The 10 episodes can easily be binge-watched in an hour and a half, with each one being about 12 or 13 minutes long. Here's a quick rundown of each episode through the eyes of Wheezy. Episode 1. Kinda weird. Makes you want to watch the next one just to see what's going on. Episode 2. Sucks you in. Kinda spooky, but in a cute way. Episode 3. Adorable, very, 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 very cute and sweet. Episode 4. Lots of great music, but the end gets real creepy real quick. Episode 5. A love story, a ghost story, and some of John Cleese's best work. Episode 6. Probably the heart of the series. Warms you up inside, right until the very end when it doesn't anymore. Episode 7. One of my absolute favorites, but easily the creepiest of all the chapters. Very disturbing. Episode 8. So adorable, it's creepy. Very Steamboat Willie-esque. Episode 9. Wait, what? Everything you know is wrong! Episode 10. tears will be shed. All in all, I totally recommend you watch this show if you haven't already. And if you have, watch it again. I notice something new every time I watch it, and I've seen it like 100 times. Over the Garden Wall will forever hold a special place in my heart until my dying day, and maybe even after. Thanks for joining me in this first and hopefully not last episode of Toon Time with Wheezy. See you next time. And that's a rock fact!
Well, that's enough.